My name is Gene. You can reach me at Buck What You Heard. You follow me, I'll follow you back. And I'm joined by my special guest tonight, Evan Winter. How you doing?
Doing good, man. Glad to be back on.
Oh man, there. You know what? I keep saying this is the worst time of the year for me. I'm so happy that we have something physically that we can talk about. As far as football goes. How about you?
Dude, 100%. I mean, we have real time, current, just present football, present issues, present topics. We're not talking about what ifs. We're not talking about what happened last year. None of that. We have
Yeah,
real stuff to talk about right now. And
it
I'm
is
so
such a difference maker.
100%. I mean, just whenever you have that fresh, I'm going to get a little graphic here, red meat to chew on,
There you
man,
go.
it makes all the difference in the world.
There you go, man. And that's kind of how I feel about it, man. It's just like, man, you were talking all you like you said, what ifs, all these different what ifs. This is what this team's gonna look like on paper. Now, we're getting closer to where we can talk about something a little bit more than what a team's gonna look like on paper.
For sure. And I mean, that applies perfectly with what happened today with all the players that opted out of the NFL season.
Yeah, yeah, man. It just totally changes the landscape. And kind of where I wanted to start at, and I'm going to get on my soapbox here for a minute, and I'll get off. But every year we have the draft. We know the draft's coming. We know that the team has needs. We know that the team's going to draft players. We can all agree on that. Why in the fuck do we continue to talk about, are we going to be able to pay these players? Every goddamn year, it's the same thing. How are we going to pay them? Are we going to pay him? You know what? Sit the fuck back and just watch the game. You're not a GM. If you were a GM, then you would be in the know and you wouldn't be saying, how are we going to pay these players? Because you already know. And for the record, the Bucs have signed all of their draft picks as of now. Am I correct or am I incorrect here?
You are very correct, sir.
Exactly. I don't even know how this gets to be an issue every year right before the season, right, during camp, right before camp and everything, when you're supposed to get these guys signed. I think what you should be worried about is if we get into the season and these guys aren't signed, then you have a reason to gripe and complain and question, what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, with a rookie holdout, you never really know what's going to happen.
When was the last time we've had a rookie holdout? I mean, I think we were talking about this on Twitter. Was it Joey Bosa was the last?
Well, yeah, Corey Davis missed the first day of training camp with the Titans. There was a Titans receiver.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if technically you call that a holdout, but he did miss time because he didn't have his contract. But yeah, Joey Bosa was the last, probably real holdout in quite a while that I can remember right off the top of my head. And I believe he actually missed time during the regular season,
Yeah,
didn't he? Didn't he
he
miss
actually
the first
did.
3 games or something like that?
Yeah, he actually did miss time.
And he still had a really good season. So I mean, there's all different kinds of ways to attack it, but you've got the one good thing about the Bucs they stay consistent with is contracts and getting guys signed.
Mm-hmm.
Devin White did this the first couple days of rookie camp last year, but he was signed in time for actual training camp. But the Bucs usually get it done. So yeah, most of the time, man, I wouldn't be worrying about it at all, honestly.
Yeah, that's the least of the worries right there. And again, until we start seeing this happening when the season starts after kickoff, then you can complain and worry and say, why haven't we signed our draft picks? But until that happens, it's not news until it becomes news.
Right.
So, I'm done with that. I'm over all that. We can move on now. That's just one of the things that just sticks out. It just irks it irks me to no end because it continuously happens. But we can talk about other news because we're talking about a big trade, a huge trade, a monumental trade, a head scratching trade that I'm guessing this is my take. And again, I'm not an insider. I don't know anything. I don't know, I'm not a coach. I'm not a general manager. I'm guessing the Seattle Seahawks feel like this is their year to win a Super Bowl. This is their year.
Yeah.
They've got the squad they want. They've got the players they want. They've got the wide receivers. They've got everybody is in line but they felt like there was a deficiency in a certain position, so they basically bet the farm. And this is the year that they're either going to go to the Super Bowl or they're back to the drawing board. Basically, I don't know. What are your thoughts on the move? And what kind of and kind of go into detail about what exactly happened with this trade.
They obviously have to feel really good about where they stand right now. Um, and you also have to look back to Seattle's heyday. They had excellent safety play. They had Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas back there. They obviously still had Brandon Browner and Richard Sherman on the outside, but a lot of
Right.
what they were able to do came from Earl Thomas mainly, but
Yeah.
also Cam Chancellor. So you can't really blame the Seahawks for wanting to kind of follow that same formula when it comes to being a few steps away from the Super Bowl. I mean, Russell Wilson is the best quarterback in the NFL, in my opinion. The dude is absolutely unreal. Chris Carson is a very good running back. They have good receivers, and I think that Seattle is, in fact, a Super Bowl contender now after this trade. And they gave away 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick.
That
The
that's
first one,
that's the crux of what I was getting at right there.
yeah,
I'm
yeah. I
Mike.
mean, that shows that they're ready to sell the immediate future for the, or I'm sorry, the immediate future for the long term. So it just screams that they believe that they're ready, and now it does look like they're all in. And
Yeah.
we'll see how Jamal Adams how he does it there. I can't wait to see it. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. There's so many storylines. I mean, it pisses me off that we're dealing with COVID-19 and that shadow continues to loom over the NFL and just sports in general. Just kind of where we are. But when you look at all these different things that are going on, and I'm looking at this trade as a Bucs fan, as a long time Bucs fan, long time Bucs fan. And when you make moves like this, a la Keyshawn Johnson, a la John Gruden, when you make these moves, where does that sit you 2, 3 years down the line? Because we didn't look at it that way. When the Bucs won the Super Bowl, nobody was thinking, oh well, what are we going to be doing here in the next 5 years, 4 years, 3 years? What is this team going to look like? And again for Seattle, I guess getting that Super Bowl, getting another Lombardi Trophy in Seattle is probably where you're just you're buying in, you're pushing all your chips into the table, and you're all in, and this is what we're gonna do. Um, I'm just again 2 first round picks is huge. I don't care what team you have, that is huge.
Well, it all depends on how you view your window of opportunity. Obviously, if you feel like you can get to the Super Bowl in 2 years, you're going to do whatever it takes to get to the Super Bowl in 2 years. You're not really going to worry about 5 years down the line. And then if it busts, it busts. Hey, at least you can say you tried. And I mean, I think that's the blueprint a lot of GMs and coaches follow. Even though I'm with you, you should look out for the long term. I think whenever you're looking long term, though, is whenever you have a first overall pick and you draft a
Mm-hmm.
Jameis Winston, let's say, and you're like, okay, for the next 5 years, this is our guy. We're going to build around him. What do we need to do to make this team competitive, to make him as best as he can be, so on and so forth. So I feel like that's kind of the ones who need to win now are the teams at the top. They got their small windows, whereas the guys more looking towards the future are the guys at the bottom. And right now, I think you could argue Tampa Bay's at the top looking through that small window.
Yeah, yeah, you could definitely look at that. Before we jump over to Tampa, because I've got Sean Williams on from Under the Dome, the New Orleans Saints podcast that they have out there. Real good friend of the show, and I'll have him on here pretty soon. Kind of talk a little bit of Saints, but let's talk about the Jets. And what did the Jets get out of? Jets got 2 first round picks and a third, right? And they got
Yeah, they
a
got
they
the
got,
first
they got
the
a rock
third
solid
and
safety
fourth.
out of the deal. A guy that's not he's going to come in and play. He's going to come in and play his role and do what he needs to do. And Bradley McDougal, uh, he was one of my favorite players when he was in Tampa. I was really disappointed to see him move on.
Yeah, no, I think the Jets are in a pretty good spot, but obviously we won't know we won't really know how good they came out of it until they make those picks. I mean, what if Seattle falls on their face and goes 2-14 or something? What if just they have this slew of injuries and just everything goes wrong and they finish as one of the worst teams? Ooh, Jets are in really good shape.
Right.
But it just all, I don't know. There's a long ways to see. But yeah, I like McDougal as a player, man. Hopefully he does well, and then hopefully he gets into himself like Jamal Adams, where he has a bunch of teams vying for his services.
Yeah, and I think that's going to happen. Again, I thought he was a solid player in Tampa. He needed a little bit more time to grow, but I thought he would have been an excellent piece for this team, while he was here. But that's neither here nor there. We're gonna definitely circle back to the New York Jets and talk a little bit more about them. But just kind of going around the league, when you don't have a lot to talk about, you hear comparisons. Everybody's got a comparison. My receiver's better than your receiver. I'm a better receiver than these guys. And this week, Keenan Ivory Wayans or Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen.
Keenan Thompson.
Yeah, Keenan Thompson. Yeah, this guy is like he's like feeling himself, I guess, and he's like, well, I'm the best player out here. I'm that guy.
It's weird. It's weird he called out the three receivers he called out: Tyreek Hill, Evans, and Godwin. Like, there's Julio Jones, there's DeAndre Hopkins. There's a bunch of other really good receivers out there. Why are you out here clowning on these guys? Like, I don't know. It just feels like Keenan Allen had a bone to pick with him or something.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at. And somebody had lined up their stats next to each other. And again, I'm not gonna take anything away from him and what he's done. I think he's very fortunate to have been in the system that he was in, where you have a good, solid running game, you have a competent head coach, and you have a solid defense, and you're able to if you can stay healthy, go in and do what you do. But at the same time, you look at Mike Evans, and I'm just going to use Mike Evans as an example. I think Mike Evans arguably has every important receiving record in Bucs history, if I'm not mistaken, or somewhere around that. And just what he's been able to do since he's come out of college, or even while he was in college. I mean, you got Johnny Manziel throwing you the ball, and you're still balling out. And then you come to the NFL, and you've got Mike Glennon, and then you're looking at McCown, and then you get to Jameis Winston, and you continue to ball out no matter who's under center. I mean, to me, that bodes well for this offense. And I've always felt like Mike Evans is underrated.
Don't know if I'd necessarily say he's underrated. I feel like he gets his due. Now, when it comes to being underrated in his own division, I would say that because a lot of people automatically rank him behind Julio Jones and Michael Thomas, where I think
slants.
He's
the best slants in the league. But go ahead.
Don't stop the slant. Don't stop it. Yeah. But I mean, he's at least sandwiched in between them. Whether you want to put Mike on top or Julio on top. I mean, which I believe Julio's on top and Mike's below.
Right.
But regardless, yeah, man. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I did an article for Bucs Nation that actually put a bunch of their numbers all together. That included advanced metrics and career stats and all this other stuff. And Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, as not when it comes to career stats, because obviously Godwin's only been in the league for 3 years. Mm-hmm. But I mean, dude, they pretty much were better than Allen in almost every single category. So separation.
He's even been in the league longer. And when you talk about, and I know a lot of people don't like Phillip Rivers, but regular season, Phillip Rivers is probably one of the better quarterbacks in regular season. In the NFL.
He's a potential Hall of Fame quarterback. He's a potential Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah, I see him as a first ballot, depending on who else is available at the same time that he goes in. But I don't see a problem with him, getting into the Hall of Fame. And when you consider that's who's throwing the ball to you, Phillip Rivers. It's not Mike Glennon. It's not McCown. It's not Jameis Winston. You got Phillip Rivers throwing you the ball. I mean, you should be making the most of those opportunities to begin with.
The funniest part about it, whenever I was looking all the stuff up, was Keenan Allen talked about how he separates better than Godwin and Evans, whereas that's partially true. Chris Godwin, according to NFL Next Gen Stats, had 2.8 yards of separation compared to Keenan's 2.7. So Godwin was actually better than him.
And that's the number two receiver. Hey, that's the number two receiver allegedly. It's
Yeah,
just it's crazy.
Yeah, it's just like, dude, just chill, sit down, just calm down a little bit here. Come on.
My thing is go out. Go out on the field. Let your play do your talking for you. You don't got to get on Twitter and then misspell everything where you bitten yourself or whatever.
Poor Chris Goodwin, right?
Yeah. And then you tag the wrong person and you misspell almost the whole damn tweet and then you send it out.
He typed biting, but bitten. but seriously though, with all due respect to Keenan Allen, dude, he's seriously one of the best receivers in the league. In my opinion, too. He's great.
Yeah,
he's great.
Yeah, and I think he's in a good situation in I guess LA. I keep wanting to say San Diego. I kind of catch myself, right? Because the owners did San Diego dirty, but that's for another show. But again, it's football, man. There's so many different scenarios. I mean, like here we are. We haven't even talked about Phillip Rivers being at the Colts. No, that's not even on anybody's radar.
No, it's not. And I mean, I don't know why, because the Colts are a pretty solid team. They just had a lot of injuries last year. It'll be fun to watch and see what he does with Frank Reich up there.
Yeah. I mean, think about this. Their offensive line is filthy.
Yeah, it's nasty.
Yeah, they're filthy. Bro. That's what I'm saying, man. And then exactly. And you come into that situation, and those guys are going to protect you. They're going to keep you upright. So all you got to do is make sure you're making the right throws. I know that he's had issues with turnovers, which, we as Bucs fans know all about that. But again, I think he's in a good situation to where, at the back end of his career, he's in a very good situation where he can actually do something. They could be a playoff team.
They got a loaded backfield with Marlon Mack and Jordan Wilkins and Jonathan Taylor too. So, I mean, that offensive line and those running backs, he might not have to do much anyway. So
how are they looking at wide receiver? How would you rank their wide receiver on a scale of 1 to 10?
I mean, T.Y. Hilton, if he stays healthy, he's one of the best receivers in the league. He's a top 10, top 12 receiver in the league if he's healthy. But when he's not healthy, it really sets back that entire passing attack. That one cat they had last year, man, his name's slipping my mind right now, but I used him in fantasy quite a bit in a 16-team league I was in. I can't think of his name right off the top of my head. It's not Paris Campbell. Apparently, he's really talented, though. That would be their third wide receiver. I can't think of his name, but I'll think of it later, and I'll shout it out randomly. But their receiver core should be okay, and I feel like they drafted somebody this year, too, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, they're not – Rivers isn't really going to be launching it deep a whole bunch of times anyways. They'll probably – Reich's more of a West Coast guy anyway, so – I think he'll make do, and you saw how many passes he threw to Melvin Gordon and Austin Eckler over the last few years. He'll be dumping it down to the running backs a lot, so I think he'll be just fine, man.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun season. Like I said, there's so many different stories. I'm trying to think back to another time in NFL history, in my NFL history, where we've seen so many significant moves from players that you looked at them and you're like, oh, they're never going to leave, or that's the only way that you can remember them is being part of a certain team, like a Cam Newton, like a Phillip Rivers, like a Tom Brady. And, just kind of what we're seeing is just crazy. And there's so much uncertainty. And, when I think about uncertainty, I also think about, players deciding to opt out of the season.
Dude, it's wild. I mean, they're doing it, and honestly, I don't know because I've been feeling pretty pessimistic. It was Zach Pascal, by the way. That's the receiver. Yeah. But I kind of feel like this is the deepest or like the biggest wave of opt-outs that we'll see over the next few days. Because I think the deadline's August 3rd to make your decision. But I feel like over the next few days, I think we've seen the biggest players opt out I could obviously be way wrong about that. But I don't know. I just have this feeling that we won't really see too much of this. Either way, though, 6 Patriots, man, that's wild. And 2 of them, or 2 or 3 of them, were legit like starters, especially Dante Hightower. I mean, he's one of the best linebackers in the league. That's huge.
And I'm looking at players like Drew Brees. Drew Brees is talking potentially not playing.
Oh, you're stirring them up now. You're stirring it up now.
Yeah, I'm gonna stir it up, and you know what this builds up to. I mean, you couldn't have scripted this to be what it is right now, to be what it could potentially be.
Right. Dude, I swear, if Drew Brees ends up not playing, and then like Taysom Hill gets hurt or something. And
Taysom Hill is not your number 2.
I don't know, man. I think he is just everything.
Bro, Taysom Hill is not a number 2. Taysom Hill is a offensive threat. He's not a quarterback.
That guy, he's going to be the number 2 guy. And when first off, Brees is going to play all that. He's just saying that, I think, just to kind of make up ground for the stupid shit he said a few weeks ago. He's like, everybody's all pissed at him. He's like, well, let me see if I can make them feel like they're going to miss me a little bit. Then I'll get some sympathy back. But
to be honest, with what he said and how he turned around and tried to change things, and he's actually. And I'm just being upfront here, because I love the game, and to me, right is right, wrong is wrong. What he's done for the city of New Orleans is nothing short of incredible. I mean, just when he's come in, and you have people that, I mean, that's I don't know if that's human nature now, but people if they've never experienced something, they don't really handle it well. If they've never experienced something, they don't know how to show empathy a lot of times. And I think when Drew Brees said what he said, I think he got to talk with his teammates. He got to understand the gravity of what he said, and how much it meant to his teams, and how much it hurt his team. And I think they got past all that. So I don't know. I look at Drew Brees now, and I think Drew Brees is fine. Drew Brees is going to go in, and again, if we're talking about your health, your long-term health, I mean, how do you risk that? How do you risk that? I mean, look at the Marlins. Marlins is a great example.
No, yeah, I don't know how they did. By the way, I just realized my microphone has been off this entire time, so I apologize about that.
Oh no, you sounded. I had no idea. Nobody's out here complaining, So that's
that's good. I was like looked down. I was like, oh crap. But no, I mean, I don't know. I sincerely believe that next year he is going to retire. I don't see him playing past this year. So unless something just crazy happens, I firmly believe he's going to play this year.
Yeah, you almost have to believe that. I mean, they've been so close to getting into the Super Bowl. They've been playoff contenders. They've been shot callers in the playoffs, and that's kind of what they've done. I want to give a shout out to the Minnesota Vikings. Thank you for all that you've done for me to help this. And this beer is for you, my friends. But all joking.
Minneapolis. I still remember
the Minneapolis Miracle. There you go.
I was horizontal on my couch, just laying down watching the game. That play, I literally, remember the game "Don't Wake Daddy," where bring the dude. I'll show you. I was, it felt like I was watching a Bucs game or something. Yeah. I was just like, what? It was insane. And the fact that he scored a touchdown, it wasn't just that he got him into scoring range. He scored. It was just crazy, dude. It was awesome.
Dude. It was crazy for me because I'm already looking at Twitter. And my friends, I've got a lot of friends that are Saints fans. We're on, and they always give me grief about the Bucs or whatever. And everybody is like, "Yeah, we're going to the next game," and everybody's planning out what they're going to be wearing or what they're going to be doing, or hey, we're going to have a party here. And probably should have screenshot a lot of these tweets because it was just hilarious. And that play, I swear to you, everybody disappeared. I couldn't find. I couldn't find a Saints fan. I went to the. I typed in New Orleans Saints in the lookup on Twitter, and just kind of went down to look for tweets. Nothing. Cricket. Everybody just left.
You saw a tumbleweed float across
Exactly. and I'm telling you, bro, that was like, and I would have drank their tears because that's just how I felt about it. But it was just amazing to watch that game, to watch that play, and it just shows you just the NFL is just there's so much parity in the NFL. And it's like 1 minute you've got a team and they're up and they're looking like, oh, we're getting ready to do this, and then the next thing you know, the other team scores a touchdown and you're on your way home.
You know what I was thinking about earlier today? When this comes with the opt out. So the Patriots, they're going to save money from all those players opting out. I wonder if they knew this ahead of time, like they would have tried to reuse that money to re-sign Tom Brady. I wonder, I wonder. I mean, I know it's COVID. I know this is kind of an abstract question and just kind of out there, but I wonder if there's any kind of like them being pissed right now that they're like, we could have earlier.
That's an interesting subject, and I've gone back and forth with this. With COVID, you have time to have these intelligent conversations with yourself, and I've been going back and forth. Is this about Bill Belichick proving that he was the reason they won all these championships, or is this about Tom Brady proving that he was the reason? That was the perfect marriage right there, and they won as a collective unit. However, as competitive as those two guys are, that's sitting in the back of their head that both of them are thinking, well, if it wasn't for me, we'll be doing this. You can tell me anything you want, but you look at those guys and level that they go at it, and you can't tell me that doesn't pop up into your head for a minute. As a Tom Brady, I was a quarterback, and we had a dynasty here. Or Bill Belichick, I was the head coach calling the plays, getting the personnel in here, and we won a dynasty here. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that has to come up.
Yeah, you certainly think about it. I think really what it came down to, though, was the Patriots just didn't really have the money, or they just didn't want to pay Brady what he wanted. But really, when you look at, and I know Brady's not what he was 4 or 5 years ago, but when you look at what Brady's being paid, $25 million, that's really not a lot for the greatest quarterback
that's
ever.
The whole thing.
Especially in this quarterback market. I mean, it's not a whole lot. I think Peyton Manning got paid $20 million a year. 8 years ago when he signed with the Denver Broncos, if I remember correctly, it was like 19 or 20 million. So it's just like that's not really a whole lot. And when you wonder when it comes to New England, where the hell is all the money? Because they only have 2 players on the roster that are in 8 figures that make 10 million or more a year, and that's Stephon Gilmore and Joe Tooney, which is crazy because Joe Tooney's a freaking guard. So he makes 14 million a year. But I just really think that I think New England just didn't have the money. But like I said, whenever you look at their salary cap, you're just like, where did all this money go? Like you should have had plenty of money to give Brady, but obviously I guess they didn't.
That's the whole thing, man. You're absolutely right. When you look at this, who do they have on that team that you can think of? And when you look at the New England Patriots right now, and you look at their squad top to bottom, who do they have that it just?
Yeah, that's it. They just have Stephon Gilmore and Joe Tooney. That's all. I mean, everybody else is either 6 million or lower. So I really don't know, man. I mean, Mohamed Sanu is the next highest guy at 6.5 million. Then you have Jason and Devin McCourty at 2.6 and 2.2. Right. I mean, Patrick Chung 1.1. I mean, they don't really have a lot of money in a lot of places. So you got to wonder what their salary cap's going to look like going forward, actually, too. Not just this year.
It's actually going to be nice. Yeah, I'm looking at it right here. Yeah, Stephon Gilmore Jeez, yeah. Donta Hightower, and then what do you do with him opting to be out this year? How does that affect the salary cap?
Well, so yeah, players that opt out, the Patriots will save that money. So the Patriots, before all the opt outs, I think had like 8 or 9 million in cap, something like that. But now they have 25 million, and that's after the opt outs. So because yeah, Hightower was making 8, and a few other guys, big money guys, were in the opt outs. But yeah, so
Yeah.
they now have 25. They now have 25 million
Yeah,
in
you
cap.
got like Shaq Mason's in there, Marcus Cannon, Julian Edelman. Um, yeah, this is
Yeah,
wild.
Devontae Howard, Jakob Johnson, Brandon Bolden, Dan Vitale, and Najee Torin.
Yeah, even Patrick Chung. Patrick Chung's not even making that much. Where is all this money going to? Again, is it going to the refs? Yeah,
Yeah,
I would say yes.
that's where it's going, man.
I'm sure they're laundering money to the refs or something. Something's not right here. No, but all joking aside, man, I just think that Tom Brady probably felt like it was time for him to move on. I mean that's the only thing that I can think of. When you look at this squad, is
Yeah, it definitely. I'm sure there was friction between them, but yeah. I mean, at some point, because you remember that report that came out like 2 years ago in ESPN.
yeah.
That
Was this when Garoppolo was still there, right?
I think so, or is right after he was traded, one of the two. And they taught, and they got blasted about how it's not true, blah blah blah. But then here we are, 2 or 3 years later, and
right.
Looks like it might have been true after all.
Yep, there may have been some truth to that, man. You just don't know. For me, when I look at this team and I look at what they had, I was not impressed with their personnel. I'm shocked. Is this play calling? Is this playing as a collective unit, or what is it for a New England Patriots team last year to go 12-4 with the level of talent that they had on the team?
It was definitely the defense last year. And I mean, they play in a weak division. They're playing the AFC East.
Yeah.
But the AFC East is not, or at least it's looking like it's not
On
the
paper.
division. Yeah, it looks like it's not the division it used to be over the years. I mean, you've got the Dolphins, who just had a surplus of draft picks, who look like they have something going. The Bills were a playoff team last year, even though I think they're due for a little bit of a regression this year. They should still at least be competitive. Then you have the Patriots, obviously. And then you have the Jets. Well, never mind. I'll take back what I said a little bit. So, but the Dolphins and the Bills, you would think are gonna be a little bit of a pain in the ass for the Patriots this year.
I think they will. I think, to be very honest, when I look at that division, and you've got Miami, you've got New England, you've got you've got New York, and you got Buffalo. That division is wide open.
Yeah, pretty much.
That division is wide open.
Yeah,
you can't tell me there is somebody that you have as a front runner, because I tell you what, when you look at the Buffalo Bills, if the Buffalo Bills can get their defense to buy into that scheme and get everything up and running, you're looking at a good solid squad here. I mean, they've got a good running game. They've got good receivers. The quarterback's questionable. I'm still not 100% sold on the quarterback, but again, is this a squad that can give New England problems? Because New England, regardless of Tom Brady here or gone, New England is still the benchmark that everybody else is trying to get to.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you could argue last year that the Bills would have beat the Patriots in the first meeting had Josh Allen not have gotten hurt. And man, there are times where Josh Allen just makes you say, "Wow!" And
he's a blessing and a curse. He's the white Jameis Winston.
I don't say it sounds like somebody we know. So yeah, but he's exciting to watch when he's on, man. So yeah. I hope he continues to develop. So I'm rooting for the kid. That's for sure.
Yeah, and again, I would love to see them successful. I love their fan base. People think their fan base are a bunch of psychopaths. I would love to go and hang out with the Bills Mafia just to hang out with them because those guys are lunatics. They're all
I'm sure.
lunatics.
I'm sure you'll get you involved in jail now,
Yeah,
man.
I'm sure I'll end up in jail too, going to hang out with those guys. I
And
mean,
burn
just
something
they
down.
would lead me down the wrong path, and I could see that happening. So
We'll see you. We'll see you face diving through a table, a fold-out table on Twitter. Like, Gene, no, don't do it, Gene.
yeah, I can see it happening. You know, again, those guys, you know, they've developed their own niche, and again, I hope the Bills Mafia keep doing what they're doing, man. They're awesome. That's one fan base that you know you look at them and you're like, man, I would like to hang out with those guys. Unlike like the Raiders or Atlanta or you know some of these other fan bases, you're like, nah, I wouldn't want to hang out with you guys. But these guys, there's something unique about them, and I love it.
Seahawk fans feel like they would just like go to the game and then go to Starbucks after. I don't
You
know.
know
And
what? You know,
but I'm just kidding. They just stay.
that number
They're like
12,
one of the most rocket like fan
the
bases out there.
12th man.
There's just something I don't know. There's something just Seattle. You just wow, Seattle and football. You just don't think that those two
No,
would mix.
Seattle rubs me. Just the whole football fan. We've always been there. Dynamic just rubs me the wrong way. When a guy doesn't know who Sean Alexander is, and you just want to slap him in the face. That's kind of where I am with it.
It's funny to think that Matt Hasselbeck is the second best quarterback of that franchise.
Yeah,
He's
next to
below.
Jim Zorn.
You're right. You got to talk when you talk best quarterbacks. You say Russell Wilson, then Matt Hasselbeck.
And then we haven't even talked about Steve Largent.
Right.
You know, and when Steve Largent is like your best receiver in history. I mean, you know, you can say what you want to about the Bucs, but you know the Bucs have had. I mean, we could go back through some wide receivers that the Bucs have had, and then when you look at Seattle and you're like, well, Steve Largent, and yeah, Steve Largent,
They had
and
Joey Galloway before we got him.
yeah,
Before,
Joey Galloway. There you go.
but he
And
wasn't. I think he had just. I think he had like 1,000 yard season with him before we got him, and then
yeah,
he kicked ass with us. So
there you
we
go.
we had his best years.
Exactly. His best years were in Tampa. Just hey, Seattle fans, if you watch this, yeah, Joey Galloway had his best years with the Bucs. Just remember that.
Eat
Yeah, that's right.
it.
So, you know, for you, you know, it's crazy. Like, you know, we talked about this. We've been talking about this. All the unprecedented things that have been going on. For you, what stands out as probably the best storyline? Because right now, that's kind of how I'm looking at the NFL because we haven't played any games. What is the best storyline for you that you're like, you know, this isn't the Bucs. I understand it's not the Bucs, but I want to see how this ends up because there are a bunch of train wrecks. And there are a bunch of good stories in the NFL right now. Which one are you kind of following to see what happens?
Man, that's a really good question. Um, Honestly, dude, I honestly, if I'm following anybody right now, it's Patrick Mahomes. That might sound cliche. That
Because of
might
his
sound
girlfriend
like
or because he's playing?
no. I mean, dude,
I'm just asking. I have to ask the tough questions here.
no, you're good. No deflection here, man. I do just right now. Like I've been. So I did the way too early game preview series, and I did a lot of research for the Kansas City matchup. And when I was researching his stats, there's literally like no bad stats attributed to this guy. Now, granted, I know it's only his second year starting in the league. He still has a long way to go.
Tampa's
But
going to beat him, by the way. Just FYI, just keep that.
I,
Put that in your pocket right there, and remember
I
that.
like it. I
Watch
like
this.
it.
Watch this because they have not beaten the Bucs since '93. But go ahead with
Oh, yeah.
what you're saying.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, so the man, and then when you go back and watch his tape and stuff, he's just out of this world. He really is. So right now, man, I'm just following him and I'm watching him, and I'm going to see how he plays this year, and hopefully he has more to come because he is one hell of a player.
You know what? I'm not going to take anything away from what you're saying because he is, and he has been entertaining. I don't know. He's just. I look at the Ravens and look at what the Ravens have done, and I look at their dynamic, and I look at their quarterback, and then I look at the Chiefs, and it's like, man, how do you choose who you like? and just watching those two quarterbacks and how they've elevated the game of football in such a short period of time, it's amazing. It's amazing. And
100.
go
And
ahead.
they're both great. They're both in great situations too. So, I mean, you gotta like what Andy Reid's doing with Patrick Mahomes. He's the perfect quarterback. And then John Harbaugh and company are molding the offense right around Lamar Jackson. So, I mean, they're both
Dude,
utilizing the strengths.
and Lamar Jackson, I love Lamar Jackson. I love his game. I love watching him play. It's exciting, and everybody that said he should be a running back, Michael Lombardi, and everybody else, this guy has proven him wrong. And those are the kind of players that I love, the underdogs, the guys that are like, you know what? Okay, we've been told that we can't do this, we can only do this, but they've gone out and elevated their game. And when you looked at that move, remember, I know you remember the draft when Patrick Mahomes was drafted, and you looked at everything else on that draft board. And what was your thought at that moment when Kansas City bet the farm and did what they did? What was your thought at that very moment?
I mean, I didn't really know who the hell he was, to be honest. I mean, I kept up. I don't really watch Big 12 football much, if people follow me and follow my work, they know that when it comes to the college players, like I watch college football and stuff, but when it comes to analysis, I kind of leave that up to other folks. So people are on my radar, but I don't really have any kind of solid conclusions about them at the time. However, I will say I wondered what Kansas City was doing because I didn't know much about the kid. Figured if I did know something about him, it's because he done something special. Even though he had the huge shootout with Baker Mayfield, I somehow missed that too. See, I admit my faults. I'm an accountable guy.
You know what? And that's why I have you on, because there's nothing wrong with being wrong.
Yeah,
You're
and
human.
I
I'm
didn't think
human.
much of it. I didn't think much of it. I honestly thought it was a reach, and obviously I was way off.
Yeah, it's just crazy. And and that's the thing about the NFL. There's so much parity because I mean, let's look at the Chicago Bears, and Mitch Trubisky was that guy who threw for 5 million yards against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and hey, he ascended to the throne that day. He ascended to the throne, and that is what he hung his hat on the whole rest of the season, is what he did against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then we look at him now, and he's in competition for his football career in Chicago. And that game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is a faded memory. And that's
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no. Please go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I still have a text from that day from my stepsister's husband saying Trubisky with an exclamation point, and my response was, "Bro, Bucs defense sucks."
Yeah.
So to this day,
I would have responded back, Mike Smith, you're welcome.
Mike Smith exclamation point.
Yep, Mike Smith, hashtag you're welcome. But dude, man, and again, it's just that's what I'm so excited about is this year. Is all these different scenarios. To me, I thought that Cam Newton was going to end up in Chicago. I really thought that. But then you look at what the Carolina Panthers did Cam Newton dirty. And you can't tell me otherwise that they didn't, because they held on to him until the quarterback market was saturated and he couldn't really go anywhere. Then they gave him his papers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
So when I look at that, I was like, man, these assholes did him dirty, because he could have easily gone. I would have taken Cam Newton over both the quarterbacks that they have in Chicago in a heartbeat. That would have been my guy. I wouldn't have expected to win a Super Bowl, because to me, and I've said this and I stand by what I say, Cam Newton is a front runner, kind of like Donovan McNabb. If he's winning, he's gonna ball out. But if they're losing and he's getting punched in the mouth, he's putting that towel on his head. He's going to sit on that bench and wait till the next game. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. I mean, when you look at his body of work, when Cam Newton's getting punched in the mouth He's getting hit. He's getting sacked. Everything's going bad for him. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, man, you're not wrong at all. And it's weird though. You think that the Bears, instead of trading a fourth rounder and
Dude, they
paying
could have got him for a song.
money, yeah, they could have gotten Winston or Newton for super cheap. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
Dude, I just, like I said, I just don't get it. But Chicago's in for a world of hurt.
For sure. Kaepernick's still out there too, so I mean they could always get him too. But I don't know.
I don't know what kind of product. If this was last year before last, I would have been a little bit more confident. Just because being in football shape is different than being in physical shape. I would have been a little bit more confident had that been the case. And again, I'm not talking political. Please do not bring anything political here. I'm just talking about a player that played in the Super Bowl and almost won the Super Bowl, and then all of a sudden crickets. You know what? It's messed up. I mean, if your team wants to win, that's the guy you want. You want a guy that's going to get in here and at least put you in a position to win. And we can compare stats later on or whatever we need to do. But again, Colin Kaepernick is a player that should have been on people's radar. He should have been able to play. He should have been out there to be able to do what he does. I mean, and that's play football at the end of the day. So, I don't know. Because I look at Baker Mayfield. I look, who is the quarterback in Oakland? What is his name?
Derek Carr.
No, behind Derek Carr, the bum.
Glennon?
No, not Glenn. Glennon's in Jacksonville.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
What is this guy's name? Not Ray. Let's see. Help me out, guys. No, not Mariota. Behind Mariota, he's the guy that threw all the intercept. Peterman.
Oh, Peterman. Yeah.
Was it Nathan? Is it Nathan Peterman?
Yeah, Nathan Peterman.
The bum. The bum. You know the bum.
Yeah. Nathan Peterman.
Yeah, that guy's got a spot. He's got a spot on an NFL team, or until Mariota. That's right, and Mariota is behind Derek Carr. But I thought that Peterman. I thought there we go. Peterman makes more than Jameis and Cam both. That's crazy.
Right. Ryan Griffin is making more than Jameis and Cam. I mean, it's wild. It's wild.
Yeah. So again, that's just some of the things that we're seeing in the NFL. There's so much parity. It's crazy. So for you, when you look at this team, and I'm not going to include Tennessee. Tennessee is disqualified from this question. When you look top to bottom at 30, 31, let's go 30 teams. We're going to look at 30 teams because I'm excluding the Bucs. I'm excluding the Titans. Is there a team out there that you're watching that you're like, man, I got to keep my eye on these guys?
The Raiders would definitely be one.
I am too because I hate John Gruden.
Yeah, I'm just really interested to see what they're going to do this year. I feel like they might have a pretty good year. I'm watching the Giants just because, I don't know, my family are Giants fans, my dad's side, so there's always some kind of rooting interest there. But probably the team that I'm going to be watching closest is probably the Packers.
Really? And we're going to get to them. We're going to get to them because, great minds think alike. I've got questions about the Green Bay Packers. My team is the Washington football team because I just want to see what the Washington football team, we know they're a football team, but they're called the Washington football team. So that means that this team plays football. We know this.
They're in Washington.
And they're in Washington. So the Washington.
You heard it here first.
So the Washington football team, we have that de facto moniker that they've been handed. What do you think? I mean, what are we talking here? What kind of name are we going to come up with here? I was thinking the Washington Silly Nannies, like on Family Guy. I think that would be perfect for this team.
I have no idea what they're going to be called. Maybe the Washington Willies. I mean, dude, yeah. I don't. The part is all all of the stuff is like completely trademarked. So it's just absolutely hilarious.
It really is. So let's see. The Washington. Okay, and on Buck, what you heard, I am going to come up with a name for the Washington football team for 2021 right now. If you're going to get, let's count this down for me. You're going to give me 1 minute, and I need to come up with a name for the Washington Silly Nannies. So get your timer out here, and we'll go with this here. Okay, so
Got the drum roll going.
okay, how much time do I have left?
You got 45 seconds. 30 seconds.
Washington Werewolves, no. Washington Brothel, no. Washington Coke Fiends, no.
15 seconds. 10, 9, 8.
Okay, the Washington Whirlwind.
Washington Whirlwinds. I almost thought you were going to say whirlpools for a second, like the washing machine.
But it's got to be something legal. Everything I was thinking of was illegal. Just hey, thanks a lot, Jay Gruden. Everything I was thinking was illegal. And the Whirlwind, maybe. No? Yeah, the Whirlwind. I'm going to go with that. The Whirlwind. That's my name, the Washington Whirlwind. I know it's probably low on the list, but I can promise you that name is not copywritten. It's not taken.
Actually, it is. I'm kidding.
So, dude, what have you been doing throughout this whole pandemic dynamic that we've been dealing with? How has this affected your family?
Dude, it was just not really that much. Fortunately, we had the baby, so just playing with him, man, and just working. Fortunately, our business has stayed open, and we're considered essential. So,
that is a beautiful
life
thing.
hasn't really changed much.
And parenthood is amazing. I can tell you right now, just as a parent, it really is amazing just to be able to take care of a kid, just to be home with him and watch him grow and nurture and all that good stuff, man. My son was amazing up until he was about 14, and then he went through the dark ages until he was maybe 17, 18. Then he understood what I was saying, and we've had a great relationship since then. And I guess that's all part of parenthood. But again, I do not wish a lot of the stuff that we're dealing with right now. I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Yeah, man, I'm glad that because he was born back in April, so that was when things were kind of dying down a little bit, or they're at least trending downward. If it were happening now, if my wife were going in now, I would be so damn nervous. So yeah, glad it happened when it did. It was good timing.
Yeah, it really is. I know for me, I've gotten to watch a lot of football. Fortunately for listeners, I've actually been taking time to check out some of the players that the Bucs have gotten, and a lot of the players that that the other teams have gotten. But the one guy that stands out to me is Keyshawn Vaughn. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing his name right.
Yeah, you got it. You got it, Keyshawn.
Keyshawn Vaughn.
I probably got to hop on after this.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I tell you what. Before I let you go, you know me. We've got to do the hot seat real quick, and I do have my questions lined up for you, my friend. These are questions that are going to be a little bit more intricate than what I've been throwing out at you in the past. So, give me a second here, and I'm not going to hit you with the drum roll because it's not fair. But
hey, and with Keyshawn though, he got put on the COVID list, so he's gonna be out 3 weeks. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Better now than later.
Right. True.
Better now than later. Okay, so I'm gonna hit you with the first question, and then I'll start the timer, and let me know you're ready.
Let's go.
All right. Warwick Dunn or Mike Allstott?
Mike Allstott. Damn, that's hard.
Chris Godwin goes over 1,500 yards. Buy or sell?
Sell.
Cam Jordan or Joey Bosa?
Cam Jordan.
Keenan Allen or Stephon Diggs?
Stephon Diggs.
Colt O-line or Eagles O-line?
What was the first one?
Colts O-line or Eagles O-line?
Colts. Definitely Colts.
Josh Allen leads the Bills to the playoffs. Buy or sell?
Buy.
Danny Dimes, legit quarterback. Buy or sell?
Buy.
Cam Newton in New England, boom or bust?
Boom.
Aaron Rodgers 2020, boom or bust?
Boom.
The 49ers will return to the Super Bowl. Buy or sell?
So.
Damn, dude. 53 seconds.
Impressive.
Impressive. I would love to give you a high five right now. That's impressive. I thought I had you shook, but it just didn't work out that way.
Nerves of steel, man. Nerves of steel.
That's right, man. That's right. Hey, well, folks, that's pretty much it for us tonight. I wanted to jump on with Evan. I'm trying to get Evan on as often as possible. I know he's been doing other things for Bucs Nation, and if you get a chance, Bucs Nation is awesome. I love Bucs Nation. One of the things that I did want to mention, the Bucs have signed all of their draft picks. I followed that on Bucs Report. Bucs Report tweeted that out earlier. But it's great. It's a great time right now. I think the Bucs have got everything in perspective. I think they're handling the COVID-19 as effectively as they can, and it's definitely something to look forward to. I know we're living in a time of uncertainty right now, but keep your head up. And next week I'm going to try to get Evan back on with me again. I'm going to hit him with some harder questions, and we'll see how it goes. But Evan, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you before we jump off here.
BucsNation.com, just like you said. It's spelled how it sounds. Be sure to check not only me out, but all the other great writers that we have there.
Yeah, my guy Gil Arcia. Hey, how much money?
Sure.
You know what? I know with COVID-19, I know it is. I will probably have my
memorabilia, something like that, and that'd be the perfect thing. And then he'll come on, no problem. Then James will probably pop on too if you do that.
There we go, man. Hey, let me get your final thoughts before we jump off here, and then we're gonna go ahead and I'll give you mine and we'll get out of here.
Cool. Oh, final thought. Sorry, I'm an idiot. That's my final thought. No, I'm kidding. Final thoughts, man. With all the testing, all the opt-outs right now, I really hope that no player gets any kind of shit thrown at them for opting out on the season. This is completely considered high risk. But at the end of the day, I'm going to go ahead and drop the F-bomb because you did earlier. Fuck the NFL. Players are going to have to pay him back. So fuck the NFL.
Yeah, and I'm gonna piggyback off of that. Fuck the NFL. Just the way that they've handled everything from the concussion situation up until now. They always claim that it's all about the shield. You didn't have a preseason, you didn't have a mini camp, and all this other stuff. You could have easily fucking pushed the NFL back. You could have pushed everything back a couple of months and had everything in place to protect all these players from any kind of injuries. But instead, you cut out the preseason and you make these guys play the first game where it really counts. Fuck you guys.
Yeah, they took the wait and see approach for sure. They could have had a lot of this figured out.
It would have been so easy. It would have been so easy if you would have just said, okay, let's start the season in October. The middle of October would have been perfect. You could have had camp. People could have got in football shape. You're not having to worry about injuries. And, you're protecting the shield. And you're putting out a good product.
Yep. But
anyway, that's neither here nor there. Again, I will definitely put the quote-unquote warning up here because the F-bomb was dropped a few times. That's what I love about doing my own show is because I have autonomy. I can do whatever I want to, and, I'm not answering anybody. If you don't like it, you just don't watch it. But anyway, that's it. Dude, I'm going to let you get back to your family. Thank your wife for allowing me to have you for this little bit of time, and I appreciate you. And again, let's hope we can get you back on here on next Tuesday.
You bet, buddy.
All right. And guys, we're out. Thank you so much for checking us out.